All right, let's talk about these this information that's coming out now that CANCER rates are apparently on the rise. Got a couple of articles here we're going to dive into. I'll probably play the video from this gal. I will play that I shared on my Instagram the other day. And by the way, I'm doing my first Twitch stream too. I've never streamed on Twitch, and so if I look over here, that's why I'm looking over there. Okay, let's see here. Let me go back to this. We're going to play this first. This was what caught my attention. Here it is. Okay, here we go.
$200 billion is spent. Anyone else find it odd that $200 billion is spent on cancer research every single year, and the only thing to show for it is a 75% increase in cancer deaths since the 1990s? It kind of seems like a lot of people are getting rich off this cancer research thing. No.
So that was I shared that on my Instagram a while back, just a week or so ago, and then looking into the, doing a deep dive, he's right. I don't know where he gets the 75% since the 90s, because I find an article here, according to the Lancet, cancer deaths expected to rise to over 18 million in 2050, an increase of nearly 75% from 2024 study forecasts. And this is a website called healthdate.org. Key takeaways: globally, the number of new cancer cases has more than doubled since the 1990s. So that's where he's probably getting that information from. While the number of cancer deaths increased 74%, excluding non-melanoma skin cancers, with the majority of people affected living in low and middle income countries. It's kind of wild. It's, again, I sometimes question, hold on a sec, I sometimes question how much faith people can have in their government and or, the medical institution when that happens. Hi, how we doing? It's crazy. Like, we should be getting, if they're doing us right, we should be getting healthier. Cancer rates should be going down, right? And as that guy talked about, it seems like a lot of people are making a lot of money. Hi, how we doing? Over 40% of cancer deaths globally are linked to 44 modifiable risk factors, including tobacco use, unhealthy diet, high blood sugar, presenting an opportunity for prevention. The number of new cancer cases worldwide predicted to rise 61% over the next 25 years. Jeez. Although global rates have decreased, when adjusted for age, have decreased, this is not the case for some low and middle income countries. So I don't know. I don't think they're going down. I don't think they're going down first world countries either. It just doesn't make sense. To meet the challenge of the growing number of CANCER cases and deaths, the authors say it is imperative that greater efforts are made by policymakers, governments, and agencies to prevent, diagnose, and treat cancer at the country. See, that's what they're angling for, more power for government. That's what it seems like. It's just crazy. It seems like they want more government intervention, despite the fact that we've already got a lot of government intervention. It looks like I've got a viewer on Twitch. Again, like I said, I'm going live on Twitch. How we doing? For the first time ever. Let's see. Now let's jump into this other article. If we weren't spending so much money on it, I can see but but the U.S., is spending a lot of money on this. And as we know in our world, because of hyperinflation, we don't really have the money to spend, to be quite honest. The U.S. is 37 trillion in debt. And, what is that? And, lots of people are struggling. It's not like we're made of cash here in the States. So it says the U.S. spends $200 billion each year. This is an article from SciTechDaily.com on cancer care. We might not be getting our money's worth. You think? Jeez. The high cost of cancer treatment in the U.S. does not lower fatality rates. I tend to lean towards naturopathic medicine more and more every day. And from my understanding, the way we treat a lot of diseases in the West, specifically in the States. I understand over in Europe, they prescribe herbs and alternative treatments all the time, right along with pharmaceutical products. But from my perspective, we've been bamboozled by pharma. We've been bamboozled hard by, essentially a marketing campaign, an advertising campaign, a propaganda campaign to bring the American people into pharma and just treat symptoms and or not treat them very well at all. I look around, it doesn't appear people are getting healthier. It doesn't appear it doesn't appear we're being led in the right direction. Again, when I see hospitals adding on, when I see government getting more into healthcare, when I see, pharmaceutical companies that are objectively the most corrupt companies on the planet based on fines levied from the DOJ, it's not exactly persuasive that I want to follow their advice. Just the opposite. If we're making progress, hospitals should be shrinking. If we're making progress in public health, hospitals should be shrinking, and people should be looking healthier. Let me see here. Wouldn't surprise me if the cure already exists but been hidden. It wouldn't surprise me either. Thank you for bringing that up. It wouldn't surprise me either. Profit over people and progress. Yeah, that's what it appears to be. And when you mention profit over people, when I did a deep dive into the pharmaceutical industry, that appears to be their culture. They have a culture of putting profit over people, right? If you have allegedly $20 million to give Travis Kelce to advertise your product, that's a lot of cash to be throwing around. It's my understanding that 50-ish% of their operating budget goes towards advertising. That's wild. That is wild. That tells me, then again, I'm a little more of a conspiracy theorist these days than I ever have been. That tells me people might not need or want their product. That's what that tells me. If you have to spend 50%-ish of your operating budget on promoting. There's a common perception that the U.S. offers the most advanced cancer care in the world, said lead author Ryan Chow, student at Yale. By the way, yeah, this study was a recent study from Yale University and Vassar. That's some street cred. So this guy, Ryan Chow, student at Yale, said our system is touted for developing new treatments and getting them to patients more quickly than other countries. We were curious whether the substantial U.S. investment on cancer care is indeed associated with better cancer outcomes. So it says here the U.S. had the highest expenditure rate among 22 high-income nations. That doesn't surprise me. Now let's see. This guy says, are we getting our money's worth? The researchers found that national cancer care spending showed no relationship to population-level cancer mortality rates. In other words, countries that spend more on cancer care do not necessarily have better cancer outcomes. Could that 200 billion be spent in better ways? Especially when there's no correlation, based on this study, between what we pay for it and the outcomes. Let's see what else we can pull from this. The pattern of spending more and getting less is well documented in the U.S. healthcare system. Really, shocker. Now we see it in cancer care too, said co-author Elizabeth Bradley, president of Vassar College and professor of science, technology, and society. Other countries and systems have much to teach the U.S. if we could be open to change. And that's the question, right? I don't know that the U.S. will be open to change given the fact that it seems like a lot of money has captured the healthcare system in the United States. And I don't think they want change. Too many people are making too much money for what it's worth. Let's jump into this other article here. So, and this is on the WHO's website. I generally don't go to them for any type of information, but let's just do it for kicks. Global cancer burden growing amidst mounting need for services. See, there's always like a secondary thing. Oh, we need more research. We need more funding. It seems like a black hole to me. And I think there's a deeper, darker, more nefarious reason behind it. Ahead of World Cancer Day, the WHO Cancer Agency on research and cancer released the latest estimates in global burdens of cancer. WHO also published results from 115 countries. Okay, let's see. I'm just trying to find the nuggets here. In 2022, there were an estimated 20 million new cancer cases and 9.7 million deaths. The estimated number of people who were alive within 5 years, okay, let's see. They're just throwing out a bunch of numbers. I'm looking for something that you can sink your teeth into. The new estimates available. I want them to try to get to like what's the reason, what's the cause here. Yeah, look here, man. Yeah. Aeon start. Bruce Willis, yes. I'm not him. Don't be sorry. I get that a lot. And it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me. Women in lower HDI countries are 50% less likely to be diagnosed. So HDI, maybe that's Human Development Index. They're kind of doing the same thing they did here in the States, to be honest. They're trying to pull a fast one by making people believe that, hey, we need to help these lower income countries. And what that really means is more taxpayer dollars. It's just like when Bill Clinton was helping Haiti back in the day and destroyed their rice market. He's like, oh, we got to give them all this rice, this free rice, so they can come into the modern era. And what kind of a moron does something like, especially the president of the United States? This is one of the many reasons I know they're not working for our benefit these days, and they never have been. Once you start to see how you don't make that many bad mistakes on, I don't know, protecting people's finances or healthcare or whatever else, unless you're actually not trying to protect those things. But again, everyone has to make up their own mind and wake up to the realization of what's really going on, the grift and the con that's been going on to Americans and to United States for a long time. WHO's new global survey sheds light on major inequalities and lack of financial protection for cancer around the world, with populations, especially in lower income countries, unable to access the basics of cancer care. I would be curious to see what the numbers say when you put that up against, when you put their cancer rates up against the United States. We eat a lot of processed, unhealthy foods in the United States. Sadly, now that I think about it, there's probably, there's a lot of unhealthy processed foods in third world countries too. And so they may actually be in the same boat that we're in. But I really want to see the numbers from a country with a healthy diet. That's what I want to see. because if we're throwing $200 billion at this every year, wouldn't you want to see, hey, are we even on the right path? So this is talking about in the WHO's cancer initiatives. They're working intensively with more than 75 governments to develop, finance, and implement policies to promote cancer care for all. So who's going to pay for it? Well, you know who's going to pay for it. It's almost like it kind of seems like robbery, to be honest. If it's working, if we were getting healthier, I could see listening to these people, but if we're not, I can't see listening. To expand on this work, major investments are greatly needed to address global inequalities in cancer outcomes. So that means investments by government, and the people foot the bill. But I'm not impressed with what they've done so far. I don't know how people are willing to give money to the gov or to cancer research or anyone of the like, given their abysmal track record. I mean, okay. Let me see here what else we can do. Yeah, it sounds like these, it's crazy. The human development index countries that are low are having an explosion. It's really interesting. The impact of this increase will not be felt evenly across countries of different HDI levels. Those who have the fewest resources to manage their cancer care or burdens will bear the brunt. They just stopped cancer research. I don't know. Did they? It seems like it's a money-making opportunity, big-time money-making opportunity. And same thing with the GUN talk, the GUN control talk in America. They only always look at one thing, right? One potential related like cause, I guess. What would it be? Cause? Yeah, cause is access to GUNS. They never talk about violence in Hollywood, violence in video games, the mental health crisis in America. They never talk about those things, right? It's a problem. They only ever offer one solution, and the solution always is to take freedoms and sovereignty from people in the West. And there's not a lot more they can take, to be quite honest. I mean, we will run out at some point of money, freedom, and sovereignty. Those are not infinite resources. They are finite. Let's be real. And that's why people are waking up. We're getting kind of near the end. But this does seem like they're setting the stage for, we need more money for CANCER research. Okay, well, not impressed with what you've done so far, right? If you're saying it's going to increase 75% by 2050, if they took those numbers to venture capitalists, which they're not going to, we know that they're going to come and get it from the people. Or maybe they are going to try to use an investment out of it and say, hey, we can, on the back end, we'll make, if people invest this much in the research on the back end, maybe you make that much money more plus on your development, on the development of new, treatments. Heaven forbid, looking at food and lifestyle. Anyway, there's my 2 cents about it. I appreciate you guys checking it out. And until next time, I'll chat with you in the next one. Have an awesome day. I appreciate the thumbs up too. If you haven't picked up the Great Awakening Guide, you can go do that at greatawakeningguide.com. That's all the best resources all in one place. I'm going to be adding some new features coming up soon. Definitely more live links to documentaries and content, but I'll probably be adding like some more value add components in there to share knowledge and information about what's going down. So again, you can learn more at greatawakeningguide.com. Thanks. I appreciate it. Have an awesome day.